Hey everybody, how are you? My name is Tracy Di Bartolo, Thermomix consultant, coming to you from not so sunny McLaren Vale today. It's winter, so can't expect anything less, but it's not raining, so that's good then. All right, I'm just doing pull apart pizza sun today because we're heading off to a barbecue and I wanted to have something to take with me to share. So I am going to introduce to you, this is my black. It's the first time I've done a live with a black because I was lucky enough to earn one as a consultant. And underneath it, you will see for the very first time on one of my lives that there is a glider board. These are brand new to the Mix shop, Thermomix here in Australia. And it is the most amazing thing. Look at that. And it's going to be great for my lives because I can just push it away and pull it towards me. If you are interested in more information about the glider board, send me a private message and I can tell you A, how to buy one, or B, how to get one as a host reward. Okay, so let's get cooking. It is, of course, a cookie dough recipe, pull apart pizza sun, and it's out of this beautiful book, which is the Thermomix Creating Something Incredible Together, which I truly, truly love this book. Let's start cooking. First thing that it tells you to do is just to oil a bowl. So I've got that ready to go. And we are going to start making our pizza dough. So a bit of water and some sugar and also some yeast. Now, one of my tips with putting in the yeast at this point, see if I can show it to you, is to try and make sure not to get it on top of the blades. So just when you're tipping it in, tip around the blades, and that way it doesn't sit on top. All right, so very quickly we're going to put that on for a couple of minutes, and all we're really doing at this point is we're just activating the yeast. So the temperature is set to 37 degrees. I am also going to show you one other thing that I do. I just very briefly, just for a few seconds, don't need too much, I increase the speed of the blades, and that also helps to incorporate that yeast into the water so that there's none just sort of sitting on top. And at the end, when you have a look at it, you can also just give it a quick whiz at the end of it. I think it's really important that the yeast is incorporated into the water. All right, now while I'm waiting for that, what I want to show you, and I'm not entirely sure whether you can see it or not, apologies if you can't, I'll talk you through it. So at the top right hand corner, there is now a button called Preview. So this preview actually lets you see what the next steps are. And over here, there's a little green bookmark. So this bookmarks you at the step where you currently are. So you'll never forget. It's easy to go backwards and forwards. So this tells me that I need to have 400 grams of baking flour. Sometimes I might weigh that on one of my other machines and just have it ready to tip in. If you click next, it will tell you that it wants 30 grams of the olive oil. And next, a teaspoon of salt, which I've got ready to go in here. So I find this really handy because it means that I can get started with the recipe, and then while it's in action, so yes, I only had 2 minutes, but 2 minutes is usually enough to get those next things up and ready for when this finishes. If you click next, then obviously that's when we're going to incorporate the flour. By pressing on the little green bookmark, it takes you back to where you were. And there we go. So ready to rock and roll. Okay, I've just checked that to make sure that that's all fully incorporated and looks good to me. Okay, so next, we already know that we want 400 of the flour. Now I use a baking flour. And the other tip that I want to give you is I always put a little bit extra, up to about 20 grams extra of flour, because I find that helps with it coming off of the blades easier. Next is the oil. I can remember this because I already cheated. And next is the salt. Next. On goes the lid. And we're going to need that for for 2 minutes, just for 2 minutes. I'm going to push this aside because I know I can look and preview and see what the next steps are. And just to make our life a bit quicker, I'm going to show you. This is the dough that I have already made before I started this live. And I put into just a glass bowl like this. Make sure that it's well oiled. I use some olive oil, like so. And then just one of the silicone pastry brushes, and just make sure that it's well and truly oiled inside, like so. And then once my dough goes in, I put some kind of covering on it and pop it into a warm area for an hour, and that's exactly what the recipe tells us to do. Now, I prefer, if I can, to use something that is reusable, not once off cling film. So you could have a choice of either these types of covers, which really just looks like a shower cap. You can just use shower caps if you want, and you can reuse them, just wash them, dry them and use them again. Alternatively, you can buy these wonderful silicone, I think I just got it from one of the cheap shops, with a range of different sizes, and this one happens to fit beautifully on the bowl as so, and keeps it all nice and moist, keeps the warmth in. Okay, so that is what our dough is going to look like in an hour after it's proved. And this dough that I'm making right now, I'm just going to set that aside, and I will probably just even freeze it and have pizza dough bases ready to go. All right, almost there. We've got 8 seconds to go. I shall bring back my machine so you can see. And even when it's kneading on the glider board, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't move around. Okay, I love this glider board. It's awesome. All right, so there is our dough. I'm just going to, and I also, another little trick is just wiggle the bottom here. Just give that a bit of a wiggle, and then you'll see that the majority of all of that dough has all come out. There's a tiny little bit left, and what I'll do later on is I will put that onto the cleaning cycle on the dough setting with the TM6. All right, so here is our dough, and what it wants us to do is to shape it into a ball. I'm going to show you a little method that somebody who knows what they do with bread, they showed me this, and I've had great success with it. So get your piece of dough and you just pull it and then put it underneath. Pull it, put it underneath, and turning it as you go. Pull, pop it underneath, turn. Pull, pop it underneath, turn, like so. And then make it into a nice ball. Pop it into the bowl with, I'm going to use this one now. Pop that over, find a nice warm spot for that to sit, and let that prove for about an hour. Lovely. So the instructions on the Thermomix are telling me all of those things. Then it says to clean and dry the mixing bowl. And you know what? I'm actually not going to bother, because that's just a tiny little bit of dough in there. But you can, if you want, you can clean the bowl. Let me show you how, when you are in a recipe and you want to pause and clean the bowl in between, but you don't want to lose where you're up to. So this is what you do. You simply press the home key. Now, by pressing the home key, you'll see that same little green bookmark appear, and you're back to your normal home screen. Now you can just swipe over here. You can select pre-clean. You can go through the cleaning process, clean your bowl if that's what you want to do. And then when it's finished cleaning, all you need to do is press the little green bookmark and you're back in your recipe. Little things like that that we don't always work out straight away. Sometimes there's lots of things like that that's taken me ages to work out. All right, so let's get on and make the rest of this recipe. I'm going to get all my bits. So this is the filling. 300 grams of mozzarella cheese cut into pieces like so. I actually didn't have 300 grams, I only had 250. So that's what I'm putting in, and I will make it up with the next amount of cheese, which was some Parmesan cheese. It says 100, so I'm just going to put in 150. Next, I will put on the lid. We're just going to grate this. So this will be a bit loud, apologies. Okay, there we go. So there is all our cheese nicely grated. When I click next, it tells me that we're going to put the rest of it in, but I just loosen this up a little bit. Just sort of flick that cheese around because I find that mozzarella can be quite sticky. Okay, so the next ingredient is 150 grams of sun-dried tomatoes. Now, again, I don't think I had 150 grams. I only had 95. And I am going to make up the rest of it with just some olives. I bought olives that were already pitted, but I also cut them up into smaller amounts because I don't want there to be any pits. So in that goes. I love this recipe because you can really put in whatever you want. Next thing is sliced ham, just quickly chopped up into pieces. Again, if you don't have ham or you want to substitute it with something else, you could put in salami, I suppose, or chorizo, or whatever you wanted. All right, in that goes. And then we've got some tomato paste. This is my homemade tomato paste. Again, that's another cookie dough recipe. I just make up the tomato paste, put it in the freezer in small little blocks, and then just get it out, and that just defrosted over the last few minutes. And in that goes. Cool. And now an egg, which is here. The last one that I did, because I pre-made one, obviously, to show you at the end. I had 2 yolks left over, so I just popped those in. That's another thing that I absolutely love, is that you can adapt, substitute, use up whatever you've got in your fridge, because we don't want to waste food, and we want to use it up and make it into something pretty awesome. Okay, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, and there's also a little bit of sugar and a little bit of sea salt in there to taste. And now we're going to put 50 grams of the reserved oil from the sun-dried tomato. I actually don't know if I've got 50 grams. No, I've got 30. So what I will do is 35. So I've made 2, I will be making 2 of these pull-apart pizza suns out of the 1 jar. Again, if you don't like sun-dried tomatoes, and I'm not a massive fan, you could use the artichoke if you wanted to. All right, I'm just going to make up that oil with another little bit of olive oil. I'm sure that will be fine. And, all right, who has seen this on their TM6? When the recipe comes up with a little video like this. I'll play the video, and essentially it's showing us exactly what we need to do in the next step, which is to use our spatula and put it in and move it around while we're mixing in the next step. So these little videos will just pop up quite unexpectedly when you're in the middle of doing a recipe, and they're great because they show you. So you don't just have to think, well, I think I know what they mean. It will actually show you what they mean. You don't have to watch it every time. Once you've watched it the first time, you can just skip past it. So it's telling me to insert the spatula and to mix while the Thermomix is running on speed 7. So I'm going to do exactly that. Fantastic. Right, so the other great thing about this recipe is it's really quick. Once you've made the dough and put that aside for an hour, I usually make this straight away, make this filling, and then just set that aside and go about your business. Do whatever you need to do for an hour while your dough is proving. All right, so there is our mix, and I'm going to, as per the instruction, set it aside. glider board. All right, here we go. I'm just going to pop that into here. So it's a beautiful mixture of those cheeses. And also you can use, if you don't have Parmesan, you can use just normal tasty cheese. I'm sure that will be fine. All right, now another little hint to show you, put that aside, is if you're like me and you don't like to waste anything, so see there's quite a bit of the ingredients stuck around the blade. So I'm going to pop this back in, move this over here so you can see it, put the lid back on with the measuring cup, and I'm going to pause it, so press the home key, it bookmarks it, and it lets you get out and do other things, not other recipes, but it will let you use some of the modes. And the mode I want to use now is called Turbo. Now with Turbo there is a bit of safety that's set into the machine. As soon as you press Turbo, you'll notice that these close down straight away. 1 second is the default, but you can change that back to half a second or up to 2 seconds. I'm just going to leave it at a second, and then turn the dial. So that's turboed for 1 second, but it will not get you out of turbo until you tell it so. And in order to do that, you either press the home key, or in this case, we're just going to press that little green bookmark and get back to the recipe. So now what you can see, hopefully, is that it's flicked all of the ingredients up around the side, making it much easier to get everything out. There we go. All right, fantastic. Now my husband's just arrived home and he doesn't know I'm doing a live, so be prepared in a moment when I'm going to tell him to shush. Poor man. Never mind. Okay, done. So, as far as the Thermomix is concerned, that's it. Here I am telling him to shush as he walks in because I'm doing a live. Say hi to my husband, everybody. All right, it's telling us to put the oven on at 180, which I've already done. No, go away. Okay.
We're leaving in 15 minutes.
And then it's telling us to line a pizza tray, 30 centimetre pizza tray, which I've just got a pizza tray here, or you can use a flat one. Honestly, it doesn't matter, so long as it's got enough room for about 30 centimetres. I am going to turn out my dough. So that's my beautifully pre-prepared dough. And I'm going to be using this mat. This is a Thermomix mat. And what I love about it is it has the circles on it, so you know exactly where your 30 centimetre is. I love that. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm just going to very quickly, this is probably the part that takes a little bit of time. The actual making of the dough and the making of the filling, as you can see, was literally 2 minutes and, you know, another, not even a minute. All right, so there are our 2 bits. And again, it says to cut it into 2 equal portions and then to make little balls. So I'm going to do that same little method of rolling and tucking it under to make a little nice little ball. And I'll do the same with the other one, like so. All right, and I'll just pop that back into the bowl. Okay, so now I've got my circle and it tells me to roll it out to about 30 centimetres. So this is why I love to have this mat, because you can just roll it out. And I'm not very good at rolling. Some people are fantastic. They can just roll out and it's beautifully round, circles. That's not me. I'm not very good at that. All right, so I think a little bit more. Right. And if I'd had time, I would have had another one of these pre-rolled, but we're supposed to be leaving in about, I don't know, 15 minutes. So, not to worry. Okay, so that is sort of kind of a circle, all right, not a very good circle. And I'm going to place that on my, can you see that? I'm hoping. Right, there we go. So the idea is just to make sure that it fits that 30 centimetres all the way around, which it has. There we go. All right. Next thing it tells us to do is to get a small bowl like that, about 10 centimetres, and to put some of the filling that we've just made into there, and we're then going to turn it upside down into the middle as much as we can, and then with the use of just a small sort of spatula, just get that out. You can see where the little circle was that I left, and we just place that in the middle like so. Beautiful thing is that when I press next through here, you're actually going to see a picture of exactly what you're doing. I love that. It's just like having the cookbook. The cookbook has the same steps. Okay, and then it wants us to just put the rest of the filling all the way around. Mine usually tend to be quite rustic because I'm not a very fussy sort of cook, and so long as it tastes good, that's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned. Okay, put that out the way. All right, can you see what I'm doing there? I'm just pressing that all around, and we want to make sure that we've got some space around the outside and also some space in the middle, like so. Good. We've made 2 little circles like that. See how that's a little bit rustic? That's okay. All right. Now with the other half of the dough, we are going to roll this out also into a nice circle, same size, 30 centimetres. Okay. And once we've done that, we're going to place it on top. Then I will show you how to make the little cute little pizza suns. All right, this is a great one to share. I've got one cooked already. This one I'm going to pre-cook. Only takes about 15 or 20 minutes to cook in a 180-degree oven. And once it's just before it's really ready, I'm going to take it out, and then when I arrive at the other end, I'll just put it in for the last few minutes so that when I'm serving it, it'll be warm. Okay, close enough. So I'll bring this back in so that you can see it, and we're going to put this over the top, like so. You see all that? There we go. All right. So the next lot of instructions, when we click next, yep, that's where we're up to. Good. Okay, so we're going to get that bowl that we used before, and we're just going to put it over there to try and firmly make a little indentation circle. Absolutely unsure if you can see that. That doesn't matter. And then with a fork, I'm going to press all around the edges, like so, just to make sure that it seals properly. Great, here we go, all the way around. And then I just use my fingertips just to try and make sure that there are no air bubbles in there, because in a moment when we cut it, we're going to be twisting each piece, so I want it to hold together. Okay, now this is probably the trickiest bit. I'm actually just going to take that off of there for a second, and very carefully, because I don't want to cut through to my mat underneath. So in fact, I think I'm going to use this. We're going to cut this into quarters. Okay, so one there, one there, one there. And what we don't want to do is we don't want to get too far into that circle. Lovely. So quarters to begin with, and then half of each of those, and half, and then half of each of those again. So you're going to end up with 16 pieces. Reasonably even if you can manage it, but again, it's pretty forgiving, doesn't really matter. Okay, there, and there. 2 more. Right, and that's it. Okay, so hopefully you can see that that's now cut into 16. Here we go. So all we now have to do is we have to pick up each piece, turn it 90 degrees so that the insides of the filling are showing. So I will do that all the way through, and then I'll pick it up and show you what it looks like. So the method is actually quite simple. The important thing is that you work quickly. Don't let the dough get too warm, because once the dough gets warm, I find then it sticks together quite a bit. All right, halfway through, like so, like so, like so. Okay, so pick, twist, put it back down. Done. Okay, ta-da! And then onto your pizza tray, cover it with a little bit of egg, milk, whatever it is that you want. Bake it for 15 minutes, have a little look at it. Sometimes I bake it for another 5 minutes or so because I like mine nice and brown. And I'm going to show you what it looks like once it's cooked. Oh, that's hot still. There you go. So how amazing is that to take to a barbecue? That's where we're going this afternoon. And then before I serve it, as I say, I just make sure it's a little bit warm. I get a knife and I just make sure that it separates each of the bits, and then you hand it around and everybody just takes their own little piece of Pizza Sun, and the very special person gets to eat the one in the middle because that's full of beautiful ingredients as well. Okay, that's me, done. I really do need to go because we need to be driving, and I hope that that all makes sense. I'll also put it up on my YouTube channel because that way you can share it with other people even if they don't have Facebook. Okay, have a great day everybody. Bye for now.